Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of the Push to Pass podcast. I am Derik Vance, and we have a lot in store, a lot to cover this evening on episode 103. Obviously, a lot to discuss with what took place this past weekend on the streets of Long Beach, and again, another follow the leader type race, and you folks out there know exactly how I feel about follow the leader type races. But before we get into everything else, let's bring in the other co-host that makes this show go on the Push to Pass podcast, and that is Josh Roberts. Josh, how are you this evening?
Hey, how's it going, Push Past Nation? I am fantastic tonight. It's a throwback show. It's me and you, like good old times. You know, Michael is out on assignment. He's got some things he's following up on, trying to figure out some good press lines, and he's following some stuff that I know he's going to be locked in on and let us know later on. But it's a fantastic night. We do apologize about the changing of the nights, but we're gonna have a heck of a show, and we got a lot to talk about. It may not have been the most fun race, but I mean, I found some really good topics to talk about tonight.
Yeah, obviously, can't wait to get into those. Obviously, a lot of them are going to revolve around, like I said, what took place this past weekend at Long Beach. So, without further ado, Josh, let's get into those. Obviously, the race from my perspective, and I'll talk about that right off the bat. Again, follow the leader. Something that I am 100% against here on the podcast. I know everybody else has their own differing opinion, but for me, got to go out. Heart goes out to Felix Rosenqvist, who drove an almost near perfect race. But at the end, again, as the title of the show, their Masterclass, and right now there is nobody that is a Masterclass classmen, I guess I should say, of the NTT IndyCar Series more than Alex Palou, picking up his third victory of the season, his 22nd, I believe, either 22nd or 23rd of his career. I know we'll probably talk a lot more about him as the show unfolds this evening. But Josh, before we get into the first topic, give us a little bit of insight as to what you thought about Alex Palou's win there on Sunday.
I don't know if it was lucky Palou or just a bad time for Felix. I mean, Felix, there looked to be times where Palou was gaining on, but Felix Rosenqvist was having one heck of a race, and had it not been for that carbon fiber piece that came off of, I'm not even sure whose vehicle, if they ever found out who it came off of, but causing that caution, which, I mean, at that particular point, we had gone over 200 laps going back to Long Beach last year of caution-free racing. And I think the bunching up of the field, plus Palou being able to get in and get out of that, having the advantage pit stall on pit road, that narrow pit road that they have, I think that is what ultimately won it for him. Because we all know if you let Alex Palou get out just even a 2 or 3 second lead ahead of you, he is just going to take off like a rocket, and that's what he did. And I feel bad for Felix. He was up there the entire race, led most of the laps, but just one carbon fiber piece coming off of a car causing a caution just doomed his entire day. I mean, he still finished with a podium finish, but what could have been for Felix Rosenqvist? That's the question that everybody has. And I mean, Palou did something for the first time that, I mean, who would have thought Palou could have a first, that he hadn't already done it all the time, but he was able to lock down his very first win at Long Beach, which with 22 wins, you would have figured one of those 21 other wins would have been at Long Beach. But one heck of a race for both of them. Kyle Kirkwood also had a sneaky good race, finishing up there on the podium. So not exactly the most fun race until later on when you started having some passing. They were talking about some passing in the back, but up front, just follow the leader, like you said. Nobody could catch Palou or Rosenquist throughout the entire race.
I don't know if you caught Query and Company earlier today, and shout out to Jake Query, a friend of the show, and he's also, if you don't know, a member of the IndyCar radio team. But he was describing, and again, I'm going to try to do this the best I can. I was listening to him on the way home from work today, and I thought he had some interesting points, maybe interesting observations about Alex Palou. I guess where they had Jake located at, he was in one of the turns, and he was up on not rafters, but a skylift per se. And again, I could have this wrong, and he could see down inside the cockpit of all the cars. And just the way he described looking at all the other cars, going over the bumps, going over the turns, and their hand position. And then he talks about Alex Palou, and it's just different hand positioning, as he was describing when Alex Palou would go through those turns, and he would have the car so under control with the different hand positioning. I think he was describing it as a 9-to-1, maybe if you're looking at a steering wheel, that it shaves off seconds going through the turns. And like he said, a 2-second lead for Palou turns into a 4-second lead, turns into a 6-second lead, turns into what are we going to talk about for the rest of the race. So if you go back to the Query and Company podcast on 1070 The Fan here locally in the city and listen to that segment, it's right towards the end. I just find that very interesting, the observation that Jake made there about Palou and just his hand placement going through those turns, which helps him control the car more, which helps him, he can shave those inches off those corners. And Josh, shaving inches off corners of a track adds to your lead. And that's exactly what Alex Palou is obviously able to do when he gets out in front. But, we do have a lot to discuss. I'm sure Alex Palou will be one of the topics that we'll get to later in the show. But Josh, what's the first topic up this evening?
Our first topic actually starts with a start. I don't know if you caught it, and they've talked about it. It's been speculated. Felix Rosenquist on that start kind of jumped out to probably a good half a car length before they even passed over the start-finish line. And a lot of folks have commented that they were shocked that they actually let the race start like that. If you look at it, how he jumped out, and it was instead of going 2x2 over the start finish line, which I'll say Power did kind of look like he tucked in behind Felix. I don't know if he slowed down to tuck in and he didn't want to cause any big crashes, but what do you think? What did you think of the start? Do you think that IndyCar's, whatever their driver control or whatever that is, should have not let the green flag fly and made them reline up and go again?
Yeah, that was an interesting start and great astute observation, Josh. But yeah, a lot of the drivers, as you talked about, were kind of scratching their heads a little bit, kind of wondering how Rosenquist was able to jump the start, so to say. Yeah, I think, in my opinion, I do believe that restart, there should have been a restart at the beginning of the race. But Josh, as I've said, we're not officials, so we don't know what they've seen. Obviously they have more data to look at there at on track than what we have at home. So they thought it was a clean restart. Unfortunately, that's what we have to stick with. But it was definitely a head scratcher, to say the least.
Definitely. I mean, at my local track out here on the east side, the Speedrome, if they even get out of line just a tiny bit, they're restarting. And I mean, on a professional level, to let Felix just jump out to such a, it's not a. I don't. It wasn't a big lead, but it was just weird because we've seen them. Not black flag, but stop the race and say no green. Cars weren't lined up correctly. The race didn't start. We're gonna get that pace car back out there on the track, get them lined back up, and they're gonna go back around again. So that was interesting. We'll see if that were to happen in the Indy 500. Do you think that they would stop the race, or and from even starting? What do you think? I mean, was this just a do you think just because Will Power tucked in right behind him, and it looked like Power wasn't even trying to beat him off the line, looked like he tucked right in right as Rosenquist went up? What were your thoughts on Power sliding in behind him?
Well, Josh, you know that if this was to take place at the greatest spectacle of racing coming up here in just a little over a month, to use your term, and you might be part of this group, you know how much up in arms the old curmudgeons would be if the IndyCar officials allow this to happen. But again, right, wrong, or indifferent, there's nothing we can do about it now. Apparently, the NTT officials thought that they allowed Power to tuck up in there, and I guess it's kind of one of those things, to use a Denny Vance reference. We just have to grin and bear it.
Yeah, that's totally true. So I mean, we'll see if that happens to happen later on in the season, if they do make the decision that they're going to stop the race and try the restart and try the start again. Our next topic, I was really hoping Mike would be on for this, because he's talked about this. It's about tires, and my love of tires is growing more and more. But I feel like during the broadcast they made an oxymoron just talking about the soft compound. It's a harder soft compound. Now, that harder and softer, don't really go together. And I know Michael's railed in the past that he wants the soft tires to not last as long. I mean, the top three, Award went 30 laps on his first set of actually the top four. Award made it 30 laps, and Palou, Rosenquist, and Kirkwood all made it 31 laps. Do you think that the soft compound should be able to last that long on that track? I know at the start of the race they had talked about everyone wanted to try to aim for 2 pit stops, but is the soft compound becoming harder, thus lasting longer? Is that taking some of the strategy out, being able to go longer on those softer tires?
First and foremost, I'm not 100% sure how I feel about teams have to go with the red, softer sidewall tire compared to the normal black, hard compound tire. In NASCAR, and again, I'm right with you about wishing Michael was here and he wasn't out on assignment, because I'm curious, does NASCAR have a 2 tire compound that that their teams and drivers have to go through, or are they just on the hard Goodyears? I would love to see IndyCar maybe go away from the softer red wall tire, because it does seem to me, and that I would hope it would last longer too, but it just since we've been following IndyCar 3+ years now, it just doesn't seem that Firestone has got the equation right, so to say, that the red softer compound lasts longer. It just seems like on road and street courses particularly, that red sidewall tire definitely gets chewed up a lot quicker and shreds a lot quicker than what the black does. So I would love to see IndyCar just make a decision to where, you don't have to run softer reds during a race. You can run whatever tire compound you want.
Yeah, I'm going to disagree. I think adding the strategy of having to use both sets helps. I think it helps with the pit strategy. But I think that they shouldn't. They should make the tire degradation on the red walled tire. I think it shouldn't be as durable as it is. If it's a soft compound, it shouldn't last 30 laps going over those streets. And I mean, it also that leads into pit strategy leads into my next topic. Joseph Newgarden took a gamble. He started 14th. He ended 14th. He took a gamble, and at lap 12, I believe they started on the hard compound, and he took a gamble to start on the hard compound, and at lap 12 go to the soft compound, and his tires made it his soft compounds made it till lap 38. So he ended up having to do three stops, whereas everybody else was able to do two. Do you think that, and he also had a flattening of a tire, which he had a flat side of a tire that they were talking about that caused a problem. If you saw when he was passing, I'm blanking on who he was passing, but he was they were going, and he zoomed by them. Looked like he hit the push to pass to overtake someone, and he ended up having to skid, therefore flattening one of his tires, having a flat spot on one of the tires, therefore having I'm having a brain fart. Thus having a vibration that they said would be ringing in his ears. I don't know how that would be, but something. Do you think that their pit strategy to go early and try to do it on 3 was a mistake? Whereas, I mean, he gained laps for a little bit, but he gained spots for a little bit, but later on in the race, he didn't. He just ended up being 14th. So, I mean, you start 14th, you end 14th. Do you think that pit strategy was advantageous? Do you think his spotter or his crew chief should have been a little bit smarter than to try to do something outside the box?
I mean, I do understand why Joseph Newgarden and his race strategist pitted so early. I understand that, or not early, but went with the 3 stops because he had to do something, being so far in the pack. And we've learned just by watching street and road courses, if you are not in the top 4 or 5, unless there's some major catastrophe that happens, you really don't stand a chance. So I understand why, again, Newgarden and his race strategists, they had to do something out of the box, so to say, something uncharacteristic, because if he doesn't, and he gets stuck in the pit strategy with everybody else, there's no way, because outside of Scott McLaughlin, Penske's have had trouble, I believe, on street and road courses as of late. So he definitely had to do something unorthodox to gain positions and try to put himself in contention at the end of the race. So I completely understand why McLaughlin did what he did. Or not McLaughlin, Newgarden.
Newgarden, yeah. I just think that it was a bad pit strategy. I know you got to go outside the box, but Newgarden is a good enough driver that I think that he could have kept up with him and probably gained some spots in the pits if he would have just stuck with a trying to go for 2 instead of a 3 stop. I'm not gonna say that the Penske team was completely wrong, but I think that this was an error in judgment. Luckily, it didn't hurt them as far as they didn't lose any spots from their start, but they didn't gain any either. So I think they'll learn from that and move on. Our next topic is something we haven't had to talk about a whole lot. It's the hybrid system. Since they put the hybrid system into these cars, when we first had it, there were some problems, but we haven't really had to bring up the hybrid system failing. And Marcus Ericsson, he lost his entire hybrid system on lap 37. And they were talking about that I believe it was his teammate Kyle Kirkwood in warmups was having problems with the hybrid system. So I mean, we were high on the Andretti's going into this weekend, and having Ericsson's hybrid system fail. It's weird that no one else had any problems except for the Andretti team. Two teams having hybrid system problems. Do you think that's just a coincidence, or do you think that that something else was up? Maybe their systems weren't working correct, or what was your take on that?
Yeah, before getting into the hybrid system, Josh, I searched what and again, I know this is piggyback on what we were just talking about, but the tire designation for the race on Sunday at the start, out of the 25 cars that started the race on Sunday, 8 of them, if I have this correctly, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, yes, 8 of them started on the alternate red tire. Out of the 8, the top 4, all 4 cars, Rosenquist, Ward, Palou, and Kirkwood all started on the red softer compound tire as well. So interesting there. But getting back to the fails of Andretti this weekend, I know we talked highly about the success they have at Long Beach. And the potential of obviously Kyle Kirkwood rolling in with a lot of momentum. He was, I believe, the points leader coming into the race. Obviously, that has changed. But yes, I do have to say I was quite shocked by what happened with Marcus Ericsson's hybrid system. I know I was a big, last year, I think, if I remember correctly, when it was introduced right there in the middle of the season, I was very up in arms about that. How can I compared it to, moving the goalposts in a football game after it started. How can you start a season and then just all of a sudden decide to change to this hybrid system right in the middle of the year? I thought that was kind of strange in itself. But yes, getting back to the original topic there. Yeah, I felt going into the weekend, I thought Andretti would, if not win, sweet, at least get two of their 3 drivers on the podium, Kyle Kirkwood and Marcus Ericsson, especially maybe Will Power. But obviously that was not to be. Troubles in warm up for Kyle Kirkwood. I know one of us picked Kyle Kirkwood, and when I seen him have troubles during warm up, I was like, oh no, they may want to switch that. And then Marcus Ericsson, contract year for him. I thought he's got out to a strong start, but trouble at Long Beach. Hopefully this is just a hiccup, and the Andretti program, figures out what's going on with their hybrid system, because obviously you can't quite flip the calendar yet, Josh. But the next race is at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, the first race to kick off the month of May, which I know you think is dead in the water. But hopefully, Marcus Ericsson is able to get some of the gremlins out of that hybrid system. And I'm going to be interested when we do get to Indy. I know we have a source, and obviously we can't say who that is, but Josh and Michael both know who it is within not only the Andretti camp, but the Ericsson camp. So I'm going to be curious to talk to them and see if this was just a one-off there at Long Beach, or if this is something, or a gremlin that the Marcus Ericsson crew has been fighting all season.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about this last week, that this was supposed to be an Andretti track, and we were talking about Andretti possibly having 1 or 2 on the podium, and and Ericsson failing to finish the race because of his hybrid system, and Will Power, he is struggling this year. I don't know if it just has to do with, moving on from Penske and being with Andretti now. He's just trying to get his feet wet, and he's not quite comfortable with the team yet. But I mean, outside of Kirkwood, which Kirkwood had one heck of a day. He was up there all day. I don't think he never really challenged for the lead, but he stuck around the entire time. So up there in the top 5, top 3 all day. So I mean, outside of Kirkwood, it was I think it was pretty much a disastrous weekend for Andretti Global. So and not the kind of time you want to have going into the big month of May. And the rate 500's not dead. I will preface it. The month of May to me is dying. It's not as big, but we'll get to that on a different show, because we'll talk about the month of May all in one show. I would imagine our next show leading up to the start. But just a bad weekend for Andretti. On Will Power, what do you think it is that's dragging him down? Is it just, bad luck, or, trying to get accustomed to the team? I know that they were talking at the beginning of the race that he's very stat driven, and he was complaining the fact that they're on his wheel. They weren't giving him stats of some sort, like how fast the leader's going, his lap times or something like that. And I believe it was his crew chief was telling him that he needs to just relax and take it easy. But telling Will Power to relax and take it easy is kind of like telling Ohio State fan to say Michigan. It's just never going to happen.
Yeah, that's never going to happen. I know you tried to set me up for that, but yeah, that's not going to happen. But yeah, interesting. I was curious when the news come out earlier this winter that Will Power is going to be joining Andretti. I mean, this is a whole new. It's not a whole new machine that Will is driving per se, but he's had that long time alliance with Chevrolet. And now switching over to Honda, I wonder, and hopefully we're able to catch up with Will here at IMS in the month of May, and we can ask him that question. Maybe he'll answer it, maybe he won't. But I'm wondering what the learning curve is between the Chevy program that Will is so used to driving for so many years with Penske, and then switching over to the Honda program. I'm curious if that plays a role in it. Obviously too, and again, this is no knock on old guys, but obviously Will's not a spring chicken anymore. I think we can make that point as well. But I think also too, and you just alluded to it, Will does need some racing luck too. I mean, you think about his last few years with Penske. I think I can remember a race he won it was at Belle Isle, not Detroit, but it was Belle Isle, and I can't really think of another race outside of there a few years ago that Will Power has won. So I think it's a different mix. I think it's going to a new team. Obviously, he's got some races under his belt. But just like, and we know this from playing sports, when a baseball player, for example, well, let's use Pete Alonso, he was a terror for the Mets. But you look at what he's done with his new team, the Orioles, which don't follow them in baseball. Trust me, they'll break your heart. He's batting just a little bit over the Mendoza line, I think, if memory serves me correctly. So, Will's getting acclimated, obviously, to new surroundings, new team, new program again with Honda. So maybe it takes Will a year or so to get his feet firmly settled in the ground. And again, learning a new system, and I hate beating a dead horse here, but I think it's a combination of new team, getting acclimated, new program with Honda, and just as you alluded to, Josh, Will just needing some racing luck.
Yeah. He's getting ready to go to Indy, where he's performed well over the past years. Maybe going to Indy, and we'll calm his nerves, and he can be a little bit more open this coming month. Um, our next topic is an interesting one because we've been talking. One of the patterns this year so far is mishaps on pit road, and a lot of it's been the wing nut not going on to the onto the tire, and the tire falling off, or somebody having a mishap on an in race on an in race pit stop. But if you notice, there was a story about a pit crew member for Arenas VK named Dustin Mills on Saturday when they were qualifying. I guess he ran the air gun, and when VK pulled in, I guess somehow, some way, the air gun hit the tire, and it was going at full revolution. Ended up cutting his arm. I mean, he had a bandage, and it ended up having to be 10 stitches. And he also had some other problems, some other subdural things where the gun ended up hitting him in the chest, and that, which is really, I mean, if you look at, and they showed on camera the gun, and it kind of looks like it could almost look like a saw. So if that thing's going full revolution and it goes up your arm, he is so lucky that it didn't cut an artery, or cut a vein, cut a major part of him. And then also during the race, one of Colette's crew members, and they didn't show exactly what happened to him. Ryan Mrazek was hit on the last caution, the caution pit stop. He ended up being hit, and I don't know exactly what happened, but once again, the pits this year are haunted. I don't know what it is, but hopefully those two gentlemen are okay. How scary would that have been for that gun to be going up your arm, Derik?
Yeah, I can't imagine what it would feel like to have an air gun like that. Hit a body part. No matter if it's a forearm, a finger, whatnot. Yeah, the damage that could be done by that could become catastrophic. But yeah, and I think you bring up a valid point here. Is this? This could be a twofold question, Josh. One, let me ask you this. One, is it the crew members, are they out of position? Is that why they're getting hit? Or is it the drivers coming in and out of the pits, are they too wide coming in? Or, as you said, do they need to make pit road a little wider, so you have a buffer zone for cars that may think that they're going to hit there or someone else's crew member, to give them a little bit more of a path to elude them? So I think it's got to be a twofold question. Are the crew members out of position, or does pit road need to be a little wider and add a little bit more of a buffer zone?
I think it may be a combination of both, because if you saw on that last pit stop under caution, they showed how narrow that pit lane is. And when those guys are trying to come off and there's other cars coming, they're swerving. They're trying not to hit each other, because as we've seen in the past, one hit in the pits and you're done for it. So I think they could afford to maybe make pit. I guess I don't know the makeup of the track. I'd have to look at it. But I would imagine they could make pit road just a little bit more wide. That way these guys aren't putting the cars in danger, and B, the pit crew members in danger. But they got to do something, and we'll see if pit road continues to be a haunted zone this year or not. But it was quite scary. hearing about it, especially Dustin Mills' arm being cut open and have to have 10 stitches. That's scary. Just having 10 stitches, especially when right here. I mean, if anybody knows, there's a large vein that goes right over here. And if he would have cut that, he would. I don't know if they would have been able to get the bleeding stopped in time. And to get through those fire suits. Those fire suits are not thin layers. They're there to keep you protected, and for that gun to be able to shred through there and still be able to cut his arm open like that is scary. So I hope both Dustin and Ryan are okay. And going into May that they get back to their jobs, because I know I don't know, but I would imagine being a pit crew member is just so exhilarating, and you want to be there for everything. Our next topic, and you alluded to this at the beginning, and it was a follow the leader type of race. It was a boring race. I mean, there were some battles occasionally. There were once in a while there was scrapes. There were somebody almost hit somebody, but it was a boring race. And as I was going back and watching the race today, if you ever watch it on YouTube, watch the replay on YouTube. And I don't know if this is live or not, but the people can put comments on the side. And I found two comments that were really interesting that showed how this race was perceived. At Sinister Racing Long Beach. Long Beach is a track for the fans. Lots of things to do besides the race. More of a festival with racing and a car show expo. And also Rick Raven 6845. This is so cool. Never witnessed a 175-mile-an-hour parade before. So my question to you, Derik, is I know Long Beach is a prestigious track, and they go there every year. But when it's mainly evidently there's a lot of people that wanted to be there. You saw the crowd. There was a heck of a lot of people. But on TV, it's just boring. It was a follow the leader race, as a lot of road courses are, but a lot of road courses and street courses, there's passing. There wasn't much passing up at the top here. The only reason that Palou, I won't say the only reason, the main reason Palou was able to win this race was just due to the fact that he got lucky on pit road and his pit crew got him in and out before Rosenquist was able to get up there. So my question is, what can they do? Is there anything that they can do to make this race better? I know I don't want to do stage racing like NASCAR does, where you stop them and then restart them. But what could you do to make this race more appealing to the viewer on TV, in your opinion?
Yeah, while you were talking, I'm looking at some of the statistics that the NTT IndyCar Series puts out on their website. If people don't know, and you look at lead changes, there were in a 90-lap race, there were 4 lead changes. And Felix Rosenquist led from lap 1 to lap 31. Will Power led from lap 31 to 33. Joseph Newgarden led from lap 33 to 38. Felix Rosenquist again grabs the lead at lap 38 to 59. And then, as you just touched on there, Alex Palou takes the lead at lap 59 and obviously doesn't look back. And again, you have 4 leaders. Felix Rosenquist led 51 laps. Alex Palou led 32. Joseph Newgarden led 5. Will Power led 2. And Alex Palou's winning time was 3 minutes, almost 4 seconds. It's not 3 minutes, almost 4 seconds over Felix Rosenquist. This is the problem that I have. And right now I don't have, and I would love for someone to come up with this, but I don't have a solution. I don't know right now how to make street and road courses more exciting. I don't know. So I'm looking at the event summary. Again, you can get all this on the NTT IndyCar Series app. Race passes. Total passes, Josh. You want to take a guess how many total passes were recorded for Sunday's race?
I'm going to throw out a number 62.
You're close. Race passes. Total passes, 70. Position passes, 69. So there were only 70 total passes on Sunday. Now, let me go to the prior street course we had, which was in Birmingham. Let's take a look at that. Okay, let's go to event summary. Okay, for the Barber Motorsports Children's of Alabama Indy Grand Prix, total passes, 77. Position passes, 68. So we're starting to see a pattern here. So like I said, I don't have an answer, and I would love to have one because I would run, and Josh, I would film this. I would run to Roger Penske's office right there on 16th Street and give him the answer as to how to fix these road and street courses that are just follow the leader. But I don't have one. And not only is it follow the leader, but somebody that's in our race picks had a great point in on Sunday. And I think I even sent this in the group text that I would love to see what the live viewership numbers, if they can do these in live time, in live scoring, when Alex Palou takes the lead late in a race. Because I'd be willing to bet, Josh, I'd willing to bet the farm that the viewership numbers in live time drop drastically when Alex Palou takes the lead late in a race, because everybody knows that, and when Alex Palou takes the lead late in the race, you might as well just put the kids to bed, Josh, because the fat lady's starting to sing.
Yeah, that's true. That is very true. I'm sure there's a metric that they follow. I know they could do it for wrestling per quarter. You know, maybe you could figure out what how many people tuned out at that particular moment. I don't think there is. I don't think there's an actual way that you can make street and road courses more exciting. I don't know. I mean, if Michael was on, he'd be telling us all about how, oh, there was this and there was that, and there was, you got to look beyond the start. Beyond the top group, and look at all that racing at the back. But what racing was there at the back? I mean, nobody wanted to get out of line and try to go up the field. I think Kiffin Simpson may have made the biggest leap at one particular point. He was, I think he was like 10 or 12 spots higher than what he was, what he had started out at. But I don't know. Maybe I guess I look at street and road courses, and maybe just from my ignorance of watching a lot of races, I look at street and road courses as like a European style of racing. They love overseas. They love that stuff. They can't get enough of F1. They think that it's just the bee's knees, if we're going to go back to the 50s. But here in America, ovals just dominate in my opinion. I think because there's a lot more passing, there's it's a lot easier to pass because you're not trying to slow down and drastically, go from 175 miles an hour down to 30 miles an hour and trying to pass somebody on a hairpin turn. So, I mean, Penske hasn't figured it out. Not a lot of people can really make this street and road courses that interesting. Unless there's a crash or something like that, I sometimes don't get excited about street and road courses, but God bless those announcers. Will Buxton makes it seem like it's the Indy 500 every time, because he is just so excited about everything that's happening.
All right, before we switch gears here, because I know we got a little bit more left to go here in the show. Let me ask this. I was looking at, while you were, eloquently describing how much passion you have for street and road courses. I was looking at the average TV viewership for last year's Long Beach Grand Prix. First of all, what do you think, Josh? What do you think the number was of the average TV viewership for last year's Long Beach Grand Prix?
950,000.
Try a little lower. Good thing you're not on the Price is Right. 552,000.
Wow.
I would be surprised if, and I haven't found the viewership yet. I don't know if it's been released by Fox PR yet. I would be surprised if they hit that number this year. And I think a determining factor in that, there's two. Not only with Alex Palou, getting out and running away from the field as he often does, but I think having the race start at 5:30 in the evening, I think a lot of people were probably turned off by that factor as well.
Yeah. I mean, the race starting that late only had to do with it being over on the West Coast. I don't know what the viewership is like on the West Coast. I mean, you can't not have races on the West Coast because you have West Coast fans. But with California being 3 hours behind us, I mean, the race started at 2, so it's normal. It's a normal time there. That probably does. I guess they could move it up an hour. They could move it to 4:30, and it might do a little bit better.
2025 race, Josh, started at 4:30.
Well, maybe then I'm wrong. I don't know. Michael could probably tell us a lot more, because he's more of the European style racing fan. But it's not fun. It's not a fun race to watch. God bless Fox. They are doing everything they can to keep you interested by, talking about pit crew members or, other stuff, but it's just not fun viewership for me. It's kind of like watching paint dry on TV.
Here, let me ask this. Let's ask this. And again, you're gonna please take your biased opinion out of this, but which one do you enjoy more on a Sunday? An NTT IndyCar Series street or road course, or the last round of a golf tournament?
Last round of a golf tournament. I mean, just because I love to marvel at the fact that these guys are putting it on the green, whereas I would be, 70 yards to the left of it. But a golf tournament, just because there's more action. There's way more action on a. It doesn't even have to be the Masters. It could be, the Arnold Palmer Invitational, and I find that more interesting than a street or road course.
I have to say, I'm kind of shocked that you brought up that tournament, because that's not played at that's the Memorial in Columbus, Ohio. I was thinking of that, but yeah, it's a tough call for me. If I want a nap on Sunday, I just wait till Alex Palou gets the lead, because I know the fat lady's starting to sing, and no offense to larger women out there. But when he gets in the lead, it's just it's game, set, match, in my opinion.
Would you rather watch a street and road course or an Orioles game?
Well, this is a tricky question, because they're both going to break your heart. So, which one do you really want to be heartbroken over?
Yeah. Okay, I got one question for you, and I was hoping Michael would be on this. And if our viewers want to pitch in on this, if you were paying close attention, you heard that Felix Rosenqvist is getting ready to be a new daddy, and coincidentally, his wife, I believe it is his wife, is due around May. What would happen, or what would you do if you were Felix Rosenqvist and your wife went into labor on the 24th of May, and you are, let's say you qualified, you qualified in the top in the first row. You're in the middle of the first row. You've got the second place. You qualified second. Do you chance missing the birth of your child for the race, or do you give up on the race and go watch your child being born?
Well, that's a great question, and I did pick up on that this past weekend. And if it's me, and again, viewers out there are going to really think I'm selfish here, but you know what? As much as we, as a society, bang the drum on having too much technology, this is an instance where I'm glad as a society that we have the technology that we have, because if IndyCar would allow it, and again, if IndyCar would allow it, I would have them mount a video screen in my car, and I would video conference, and this is going to sound terrible, but I would be on a video chat with, I don't know if it's a chat because my wife's probably not going to be much up for talking, but watching by video the birth of my child.
Wow, that'd be a tricky thing to do. Keeping your eyes on the road, keeping your eyes on the track, while also keeping your eyes on a fictitious monitor that IndyCar will never allow you to do. It'd be a hard one for me, but me personally, I think I'd say, look, I apologize. I got to see the birth of my child. I'm a young man. I'm going to be back to Indy next year, but I gotta go see the birth of my child. I know all IndyCar drivers and a lot of just auto racing enthusiasts and drivers in the past have said, they would give their right arm to win at Indy, but I think I'd have to go see the birth of my first child. Now, if it was my second child, I guess I've seen it once. I apologize. I'll tell them later on in therapy that, yes, I wasn't there for your birth. But my first child, I think I'd have to be right there with my wife.
Well, the only thing I'm going to question out of that, and again, I don't know if there's a right or wrong answer here. I guess it would kind of depend on, as you just alluded to, if it's your first child or your second child. I guess that would probably weigh my thought process as to what I'm going to do. But I'm going to question one thing that you, in your statement there, you said, I'm a young guy, I'm going to make it back to Indy next year. That's never a guarantee. That's never a guarantee. So I'm not going to put all my eggs in, well, I'm a young guy, I'm going to make it back to Indy basket, because I don't believe that's a guarantee.
You know what? I think Rosenqvist is talented enough that he could miss one race and be back. I mean, outside of, a catastrophic injury or some other thing, I just, even though he's in a contract year, I mean, he just proved this weekend that he can drive. He can be up there, and if it hadn't been for a piece of carbon fiber, he would have most likely won the race. But he's a young man. I think he would be back. So I would choose the berth. But I fully understand being qualifying second for the race and being up there on the front row. If he chose to forego it and just hope that fingers crossed that she's able to hold off and, cross her legs to where the baby doesn't come out. But me personally, I'd choose the birth.
It's definitely a question to ponder. Like I said, there's no book on how you're supposed to handle this, but my thought process would be, depending on, as you alluded to, is it your first child or is it your second child? I would imagine that if if you were in his shoes, I would venture to say that, Josh, your wife would probably give you a little bit more leniency if it was your second child. But knowing her as well as I think I do, the first child, I think it would be a straight, and kids, plug your ears, but I think it would be a straight hell no. You're not going to miss the first childbirth. But I think she'd give you a little bit of leniency, a little bit of a leash, so to say, on the second. Josh, anything else that you want to add? Any other topics here? I know we kind of blitz through this a little bit, but I know we still have one more that I can think of. Our driver who was hot and our driver who was not coming out of Long Beach. I'm willing to bet that we both have the same driver who is hot coming out of Long Beach, but I'll let you go first.
You know what? Mine's Kiffin Simpson. He qualified terribly, but he was able to get up and get over. He was able to rise double-digit places, and we've been talking about the Kiffin needs to show something. And I think this past weekend he showed something. I mean, I believe he qualified last, so I mean there was nowhere else to go but up. But just the fact that he was able to climb up as far as he did, and on this course shows that he actually cares, and he's starting to find something. It may not be right away, but he's starting to find something.
Well, I am going to strongly disagree, and I'm going to back up using facts as to why I am going to disagree, because Kiffin Simpson actually started ninth and finished 10th. So I don't find that very impressive.
Who am I thinking? Who was I thinking of? Then?
I don't. But the guy that I'm going to say is hot coming out of Long Beach, somebody that we have been just taking to the cleaners week in and week out, asking the proverbial question, what's going to happen to this driver? And it's my driver finished 2 spots behind Kiffin Simpson. He started 25th, finished 12th. He was the biggest mover in the race, or improved driver, with gaining 13 spots. It's going to be the number 6 Arrow McLaren. Nolan Siegel is going to be the one that I'm going to give hot to coming out of Long Beach. Definitely need a little bit of momentum going into the month of May. So, Josh, I'm going to go with Nolan Siegel.
Thank you. Once again, I'm a doofus. That's who I meant. Yes, I know. Clap your hands. Yeah, no, that's who I meant. Siegel was who I meant. They're both young kids, so there you go. You were right, but yes, Nolan Siegel, we've been bagging on him most of the year so far, and he was everything that I was just talking about. I just got the driver confused. So I've never been accused of being a perfect person, and this time I was wrong. Thank you for correcting me.
All right, who do you have as who's not hot coming out of Long Beach heading into the month of May?
That would be Christian Lundgaard. I had more faith in Christian to be able to come out and show that he was becoming the face of Arrow. But he started 11th and finished 20th, if I'm not mistaken. Started 11th, finished 20th. So this just wasn't a good weekend for him, and not a good thing going into the month of May. He could turn around and have one heck of one heck of a weekend or one heck of a month, but just not a good time for Lundgaard.
We're exactly on the same page there. Coming out of Long Beach, who's not obviously, I'm in a 100% agreement with you. It is Christian Lundgaard. I remember just a few weeks ago in the points, he was second or third. He has now dropped down to fifth in the point standings, and he is now 74 points behind Alex Palou. So yes, Christian Lundgaard definitely who's not hot. Coming out of Long Beach for sure. I don't know if you have the graphic or not. I know we did our picks this weekend, and you do not have it. So I will toot my own horn there a little bit. I was the winner. I did pick the highest finisher, and that was the 6-time NTT IndyCar champion, the Iceman, the GOAT, whatever nickname you want to throw out there, Scott Dixon. So here comes, I told Michael the last show that, I've been sandbagging, but this is where things turn around. So I'm going to get one step closer to catching him before the year is out. I know you're not the lead dog, so to say, as they say on Fox Sports there for the NFL, but hopefully you're able to make a dramatic comeback, as the sports world would say here before the year is out. All right, Josh, anything else that we need to hit on here? Oh, we do have one piece of news. I don't know if you've seen this or not, but it was announced yesterday that the Abel family is going to be able to finance Jacob Abel to try to make his first start ever on the in the grandest stage of them all. No, not WrestleMania, but the Indianapolis 500. So, Josh, correct me if I'm wrong. I believe we're up to 32 entries, I believe, for the 110th running of the Indianapolis 500. I know there's a lot going around about Catherine Legg maybe being the 33rd entrant into the Indianapolis 500. No news has came from that yet, but glad to see, and I'll let you take the last word, but glad to see Jacob be able to hopefully make his first Indianapolis 500.
First of all, going back to our drivers' picks, congratulations on picking Dixon. I don't even remember them saying Dixon's name the entire day. Somehow, some way, he ended up finishing third, and you were able to, just by one position, leg out Joy. So I'm sure she's not happy with you on that, but can't make everybody happy, and and I'm glad Jacob's going to be able to get in there and go. If Catherine gets in there, that's going to give us 33 cars. I have a rant on how many cars that are going to be in there. We'll start on that with our entire month of May preview that we'll probably do next week. But other than that, it was a heck of a weekend. I watched a little bit of the practice on Friday. Watched a little bit of qualifying on Saturday, and then the race on Sunday. So all in all, a lot of racing this past weekend, and now we're on to the big granddaddy of them all. Not WrestleMania, not Talladega, not Daytona, but the Indianapolis 500 will be in exactly a month and 3 days. We will be out at the track listening to the cannon go off at 5 o'clock. People will be walking around with IVs of ice coffee, preferably probably Java House. They'll have lines. We'll have plenty of it for our friend Michael, for him. And lines of coffee going into their veins, because that is an early day and a long day. But before we get to that, we're going to have the rest of May and all the festivities leading up to that.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I'll tell our viewers and listeners, I did text Michael and you the other day that I'm going to have a Amazon shipment of Java House coffee coming to Michael's house. So I know he's got to be pretty excited and ecstatic about that. Okay, he hates Java House coffee. Let's just make it clear. And just to touch on Catherine Legg, the last update that I see was about from 3 days ago, and credit to, I'm going to probably go out on a limb here. Marshall Pruitt of The Racer, that it does sound like nothing has been confirmed yet, but expect it to be confirmed here heading into the month of May, that Catherine Legg is going to do a one-off with AJ Foyt Racing for the Indianapolis 500, but nothing has been announced yet for that. So look forward to that. As for our coverage for the month of May, I know I've thrown out some different ideas. I'm working on a few people to come on for our 500 special. Hopefully we're able to pull that off. We'll see how that goes. You know how fluent guests can be, but definitely looking forward to getting out of the track, reconnecting with some colleagues, and getting the in-depth driver interviews that we have year in and year out, and making everyone proud that follows or listens to the Push to Pass podcast. We're gonna, all three of us will definitely be out there at some point, some capacity, for the whole month. So definitely looking forward to that, and bringing all the content that we can. So we will be on hiatus next week. Obviously, there is no race. Our next podcast will be May 4th is when we'll be on the air next, previewing the Sanzio Grand Prix from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway road course. So for myself, Josh, Michael, who is absent this evening, and everyone else that makes up the Push to Pass podcast, we'll be back in 2 weeks, a little less than 2 weeks, previewing the Sanzio Grand Prix from the world-famous Indianapolis Motor Speedway road course. So until then, so long, everybody.